day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Wake up every day and say your affirmations. Go. Happiness and kindness is a choice. Make up.
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
Smooth.
It was very smooth. How do you feel, John?
Let's get into it.
You know, I hope you feel better
Let's go.
throughout the show. I mean, I'm like Diamond. You could talk about stuff like this in your sleep, literally.
Yeah.
Very smart, very knowledgeable.
Great.
I think Diamond, not Diamond, King Newborn is. Oh, is he telling me to keep going?
iHeart.
iHeart. Oh, iHeart. This is
Yes.
God level things that people don't want to talk about. I want to thank everyone for jumping in on tonight's live. We have a couple people in the room right now. I want to say thank you to all of my new subscribers. Before we get started, well, after our introduction, I want to highlight some Black-owned businesses that I have come into knowing. So, with that being said, I am God level. I am a mother. I am a nurse. I'm an entrepreneur. I have this podcast. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm an aunt. I am everything good. John, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
John Skywalker, the Sly Talker here. Lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and I am a father who has 5 hip-hop albums streaming on all major streaming platforms now. Dimensions, Higher Dimensions, Lightbenders, The Law of Affirmations. Yo, if y'all like positive conscious hip-hop, that 90s golden era lyricism, check your boy out. Check your guy out. Check me out. John Skywalker right there. Look that name up. Apple, Tidal, Amazon Music, Pandora. Look that name up. That's me. Salute.
King Newborn, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Peace. This King Newborn. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. And as always, I am of service.
Thank you, love. Sabah Diamond, you want to go ahead and represent yourself?
Yes, peace, beloved. Hetepu, everyone. I am Sinsaba Diamin, teacher, personal trainer, life coach, entrepreneur, father, confidant, brother, and everything to all that is and everyone that is. And as well, I am here of service. Hetepu.
Right. Before we continue last week's topic, I want to highlight some Black-owned businesses that I came in contact with in the past couple of weeks. Healthy Habits, which is located right here in St. Louis. Vegan everything, juicing. I bought a detox from them. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I want to highlight Adina. She is the braider, best hands in the business. If you are looking for a braider, guess what? Jump on my Facebook, scroll down, you will see information regarding her. She's amazing. And she also has, I'm probably going to say this wrong. Is it Pressure Fitness? I Am Pressure Fitness. She does workouts a couple days a week. So yeah, those two. And then also, one more. I think I posted it in the chat today. Let's see. Yep. Buttons and Bows Homes Care. This is a daycare right here located in St. Louis. If you're looking for a good place to take your child while you're out making your money, please go on our Facebook page, and her information is posted. She cares. She actually cares. This is someone, she's amazing. She's amazing what she's doing with these children. I've offered her a free spot to come on to pump up her business, all of them. Actually, I'm just waiting to hear back from all of them. All right, before now I guess we can go ahead and get into it. This is a continuation of the violation of Black boys part. This is part 2. I do want to hit on the fact that we did come up last week. John did. John and Diamond. I was listening to both of y'all. Y'all was amazing. Our young Black boys do not have a safe space. And a safe space for them to vent, to talk about what's going on with them. When I look out at the world and I see them, I just see a war. There's a war on them, and we need them more than ever. This generation, the next generation, the one that's coming up behind us, we definitely need them, and we are losing them. I guess it would all be your point of view when you look out at the world. You can think that we're getting better, or you can think that we are not. But a lot of the stuff that is being put out there is so negative, and it is so much good being done by our Black men, and our Black men are not. The good is being overrun by the bad, because there's some damn good brothers out there. Some damn good brothers. As a matter of fact, I got 3 on this show right now. Thank you.
I say.
I know that it's especially when we're going to talk about relationships this summer. When dealing with relationships, I want to stress the importance of, even now, just learning this myself, how important it is to have a Black man in the home, to bring about that balance with that family, especially when raising sons. If there is no father in the home to raise these sons, how are they going to learn to become a man? That's what I want to hit on. And then them growing up, and John posted a very good question in the chat about how men are taught not to cry. They're not allowed to show emotions. So they're walking around with all of these emotions bottled up, growing up as a young adult, and then when they get older, they explode. And the reason why they're exploding, because they've been taught to hold all of that in. They can't do that. Our young Black boys need a safe space to talk. Another man in their life who, hey, excuse my language, got their shit together. Someone that can, not that they can mimic, but can give them a different point of view on how to be. A different outlook, because they need it. And we don't give you all as much credit as we need to, especially coming from Black women. I know there's a lot of songs about being an independent woman, but hey, baby, that shit gets old. Yeah, we can do it all, but are we supposed to?
No.
Exactly.
In fact, that's the illusion. You can't do it on your own.
We cannot do it all. So please stop.
The word independent. There is nothing on this planet, in fact, an entire universe, that is independent.
Exactly.
Yeah, there is no such thing as that. That's the illusion. That's the trick.
That we are nothing without you all. You all are nothing without us. We need each other as much as y'all need us. Like, for real. Like, what's going on?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So, last week we did speak about a safe place, right?
Yes.
Okay. As a boy, what does that safe place start, and what's the model image of it?
That's a very good question.
Most people would argue that it starts with mom, right?
Woo.
Most people would say it starts with mom because nurturer, right?
Nurturer, yeah.
And then also establishing a sense of self. Mom typically does that, right? But I wanted, as you were talking, the first thing that came to my mind was, in some sense, we talk about the safe spaces and how it's not there for boys. It's supposed to be there with the men. It's supposed to be there with the brothers. It's supposed to be there with the moms and such. Some of it is conditioning. A lot of us have been conditioned to, and mainly because we're not equipped, right? We haven't been socialized to extend compassion, understanding, and empathy, patience in those safe spaces to our Black boys. So a lot of that is social conditioning, right? So mom isn't equipped, even though the first few years of her life, she had the equipment to do it. But after a while, it's as if her expectation shifts because he's developing, right? He's growing. And perhaps she has this belief that he's supposed to already have it together. This could be her first boy. And if you're a female that hasn't grown around a father in the household and any brothers, you don't know how a boy is supposed to be socialized. You don't know what the struggles are, what the challenges are. You don't understand the process. And so you develop into a woman and you expect, because you've been watching a lot of media and you've been hearing things, you haven't been close enough to study the process of a boy's socialization. So when you're 21, you're 25, 27, you expect a man to be like this. And you, as a woman, also haven't been equipped to handle a large range of emotions from a man. So you may understand that, all right, he's happy and he's angry, and I know how to deal with that, but I don't know how to deal with the man that's been sad. I haven't seen that before. So I don't know what to do about that. A nurturing mom, it's interesting. A nurturing mom tends to know how to respond to that in the earlier ages, but as he gets older, there seems to be some confusion sometimes, not all the time, right? So if mom isn't one of the first to provide those safe spaces and dad is not in the home, who else is there, right? I mean, the boy might be lucky to have aunties and uncles, but even, again, they're also vulnerable to the socialization and the conditioning. So boys are going to look to their peers.
Oh,
but the peers are underdeveloped themselves. They ain't got the answers either.
Right. They don't know more than they do. Yeah.
So, all right. Especially, and I came across a video not too long ago where the boys were talking about how after a certain age, everything changes in terms of what you're allowed to do as a boy. It's just a snap. So your friends, you may have grew up with friends since the 5th grade, and as soon as you start to hit puberty, there are things that you can't do anymore as a boy, especially crying. Crying becomes one of those things. Intimacy becomes one of those things. There's only certain secrets as a boy that you can share at this point. And so you learn just without question, you learn as a boy that, all right, this is the homie, but I can only talk to the homie about certain things. Then a lot of the conversations are short. You're not having deeper conversations anymore. You're just having fun, especially when your kids as boys. A lot of our relationships are just based off of the fun, the connection. It's more active, it's more doing and less talking. It's not as passive as with females. With females, there's a lot of conversations going on, right? With boys, it's more about utility. So you start to learn one of those, critical messages is that your worth as a boy, as a male, as a human being is based off of what you can do. How useful are you? After a while, it used to be you could exist as a boy and you were valued for just existing. Then after a while, as you develop, your worth, your value as a male, as a boy, becomes contingent upon your intelligence and the things that you can provide, your talents. It's things that are expressed, but it's not about you just merely existing. And then even again with the emotions, you have all these emotions, but no outlet, no way to express them, no access to the language, not even a model, because of course, you don't really see it on TV, right? Well, now our media is doing better at exhibiting that, right? If you guys seen Creed, there's really good example there. But yeah, it should start with mom, and it should be modeled by father as well.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Well, can I
Yeah.
add? Can I add? Can I?
Go
Let me
ahead.
add to what he was saying. So what I came up with was I have seven principles, and this is not like a complete list of principles governing a safe space for children overall. Okay, for children overall, and because this goes both ways. And first of
Yeah.
all, I want to give a shout out to all women. This is Women's History Month and Empowerment Month. So I want to give a shout out to all women and let you know that you are acknowledged and you are needed. And I do appreciate your presence here on the planet because you were here first. Okay. Everything else came after you.
You heard that,
So,
right? He just admitted it. We were here
well, no,
first.
it's truth. Well, everything was female before we took on a male form. This is why the woman has a double X chromosome, and the men lost one of its. So we are well, I'm just saying we took after y'all. Okay, we took after y'all. We had to be. We were you first. Everything starts out as female, and then eventually comes to. So I just want to give that. So, but the main thing here, I want to talk about these 7 principles. Okay, and these are not in any specific order. Okay, but so first there's nurturing.
Yes.
Okay, so the safe space have to be nurturing, and so this nurturing space, this is a space for the child, whether it's a little boy or a little girl, to find comfort and to find some sort of a safe haven or feel secure, in it, feel protected. In other words, okay,
Yes.
and also it's got to be a space conducive for the child's expression. Okay, children have to be able to express themselves, right? And within reason, but they also have to know where to go, because the expression itself, that's them expressing their curiosity. They're getting curious, but also that leads me to the third principle, which is exploration. It's got to be an environment where they can explore their curiosities, explore. Okay. And through that exploration, this is just like anything else. Once we subject ourselves to something, then we begin to learn about it, because the kids' whole mental environment is all about learning. They're in this whole receptive mode. So their receptivity is extremely high at that point.
Yeah.
They're learning from their environment. This is why exploration needs to be part of their environment. Also, the fourth one is it's got to be an environment that fosters understanding and lack of judgment. Okay, understanding and lack of judgment, and the only way to do that, there's got to be some healthy-minded adults around, guiding the child. Because if the adults themselves didn't have such an environment, then they're not going to grow up to provide in an environment that brings about understanding. They're going to be emotionally running the household. And that's going to be a limitation when it comes to understanding and lack of judgment. And then the fifth one is direction and guidance, giving direction and guidance to the child. And nowhere in here am I going to say discipline. And the reason why is because discipline is a self-learned behavior. When it's enforced upon somebody else, it's called tyranny. Okay, it's not longer discipline; it's tyranny. All right. So that's direction and guidance. Actually, while you are witnessing the child as he explores and express himself, then you're guiding him to what's safe and what's not safe, and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So you're guiding them, right? And then the sixth one is an environment where they can learn healthy habits. Okay, they can learn healthy habits to become functional members of society, and not menaces to society.
Right.
And then the seventh, of course, like I say, last but definitely not least, and also, but not just up to this, but not withstanding anything else that needs to be added, but examples to emulate. The kids needs in their environment, they need examples to emulate, or else they won't have direction at all. It's one thing to tell a child something, but it's a whole nother thing to show them.
Mm.
It's a whole nother thing to show them. So for me, these are the things. So I think that the safe space should be governed by principles, certain principles. And that's
Mhm.
that. And to me, that's no matter whether mom or dad is there, because we know that there are certain situations where you're gonna have situations where either mom is not there or dad is not
Yeah,
there.
it's not there. Yeah.
Yeah, or sometimes neither one of them is grandmother or
Yeah.
auntie. you
Yeah.
know, or even
Yeah.
somebody, a stranger. But either way it goes, this is the environment that needs to be. These are the principles that need to be present in order for it to be
Right.
continue to be a safe space for the child.
Did we hit on trust?
Um, I can write that one down.
Yeah.
Um,
The
but
child has
trust.
to be able to trust the person that they're talking to.
Well,
Like, I
yeah,
trust
I
you
can.
with the information that I'm
Yeah,
getting ready to give you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the only person I trusted coming up was my grandmother. To a certain extent, but I didn't tell her everything until I got older. Then I told her everything. But coming up, my grandmother will always sit us down. What you doing? What's going on? Come talk to me. That's what she used to always say. Come talk to me. Come talk to me. And I'm like, what you want, Grandma? But she always wanted us to talk.
How important do you think that well, I'm gonna see, not how important, but what's the priority, do you think? Because the thing about trust is that when kids really don't know how to judge who to trust, because kids have been taken advantage of by those that they trust. A lot of times that's what I'll say 98, 99% of the time, the ones who take advantage of a child is those who they trust.
Yeah.
So this is why I say guidance and in direction, and also learning healthy habits, but also, and that's why it's more important to teach a child and let them determine who to trust and who not to trust by whatever with the information that you give the child. So make sure, so it's got to be good information that you give them so they can learn how to trust the right people. You see? So yeah, so it's very important, but it's not one of those things that should be automatically inserted, because again, it's a learned thing. It's a learned thing, and they're going to have to learn how to be attentive, to determine and to make a judgment about who should I trust and who should I not trust. What does this trust looks like?
Yeah.
What does it look like? So, and it's a very tricky thing, because even as adults, we don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
Even as adults.
You can say that again. Hey, it is what it is.
Also let's add in the fact that we're dealing with a different time. And the reason why I say this, at one point we looked to other people to trust. Now we look to social media to trust. You have from almost 5 up to the adulthood that we rely and trust more in social media to leave our deep thoughts, our true passions, our true emotions, the things we really go through. We'll open up to social media before we open up to a person. But the thing is, when you open up to social media, you subjugate yourself for ridicule instantly. But you be thinking you handpicking select people to trust in a safe place that you feel you can open. That's scary to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yes, Shelly, you just reiterated exactly what I just
Shelly, I'll kind of like her. 832-318-6966. Can you call, honey?
Yeah, if you can call in, Shelly, that'd be
You
nice.
ain't got nothing. I mean, you watching. You might as well just call on in.
So Shelly was my daughter's daycare teacher.
What?
When my daughter was there at Animal Crackers in Wisconsin, Shelly was my daughter's daycare teacher. so she knows. Shelly was one of my circles. She was just one of my circles that one of the people I had in my circles that also assisted me with raising my children when I was a single father.
It's a village.
So Shelly's a ride or die. I love Shelly. She's a ride or die.
Go Shelly. Call
Yes.
Shelly. The number is posted 832-318-6966. He's dropping some nice comments. I really appreciate it. I see Love Shine is watching. Hey, Love Shine. Hope all is well with you. I can't shout out anybody else because I don't know any. Oh, Marquita Monroe is watching. Shout out to you too. Thank you for joining our live tonight. John, you want to pick up where he left off? Because when it comes to this men thing, y'all. I'm the nurturer. I'm the nurturer.
Well, but you switch. You don't just women still discipline with their nurturing. So this is another misconception. There is no such thing as women only being nurturers and men only being disciplinarians. We offer both. We offer both. Each one of us offer both. It's just that when we come together, if there's a man over here and a woman right beside, then the child can get one or the other, from each one. But at some point, the man still nurtures. He still nurtures. The woman still listen. I got both of them from my mother. I got both from my mother.
Isn't that a beautiful image?
Yes.
A black man and a black woman and a black child.
Mm-hmm.
Happy family. Oh, hold on. Let me see. This is God Level. Who am I speaking with?
Shelly.
Hi, Shelly. How are you?
Hey,
and thank
Shelly.
you for watching. Let me put you closer to the mic. Yaman just gave us
that part. This
you.
one right here.
What? In most cases, it's going to be hard for men to nurture.
We're going to touch on that.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. Absolutely.
Because they haven't been shown. I want to thank you for being a part of our podcast tonight. How are you this evening?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you guys?
We're good. Thank you for your comments. You want to go ahead and tell us a little bit more about you?
So as DM, I'm already stated. I'm Shelly. I worked with kids for 20 plus years, so I took care of his daughter. I knew his son, and so I have quite the background with kids and varying, dealing with different cultures and everything. And I've always been kind of that go-to teacher, even when I was like birth to three, the school agers. Like I was that person that was entrusted because I didn't repeat things, and I wouldn't just genuinely there for the kids. Like even though I don't work with kids now, I'm still kind of that person, even in my neighborhood. Like there's a tag written on me or something.
You just got that mother image. That's all it is.
That is good.
Yeah, I'm everybody's auntie.
Everybody's auntie. How did you create a safe space for your children at school?
So I mainly worked with the younger ones, but I always had the school agers come to me. I stuck with like birth to three, and then I was preschool, as DM mentioned. So I was always hands-on learner with the children, and I, made it a point to like make sure, I learned about different backgrounds and cultures, and having that repertoire with the families and the parents to know their home life and that sort of different thing. And I would try to create that safe space for whatever it was. And I always had different part in the room where the kids could sit and have time to themselves or come talk to me when they're ready. Or some kids, it was different. It was through art therapy or whatever. You just kind of learn by being intuitive and knowing what the kid needs.
Okay.
But just always being available and knowing that you won't repeat stuff because the kid trusts to talk to you.
Right.
And
that trust.
Just being able to give advice or just sit there and listen sometimes and not say a thing.
We talked about that too last week during our powwow, but that was still, yeah, I guess it still rolls over and even into adulthood. Just sometimes a person just wants an ear to be able to vent and get it all off. Um, oh, okay. Do y'all have any questions for Shelly? Oh, yeah, we have a good one. Do
Um,
you think American culture socializes its boys properly?
that's a good one
No,
too.
Mm,
not at
Of
all.
course not. Well, and we know the reasons for that.
Early age, you're taught to man up. You're not socialized properly. You're expected to just know everything and just be.
oh,
And they're still a
Mhm.
child, and it's like they're not little adults. I mean, I could say that for girls too, but
mhm.
the topic's like boys. But yeah,
Yes.
definitely, like 100%.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm gonna show you my daughter that
Diami,
Shelly took care of.
mhm.
I say, yeah, I just
You
want
was
to
getting
show
ready.
you a picture of my daughter here. So that's my daughter that Shelly took care of. Of course, here she's
Beautiful.
in college and everything, but she was barely 2 years old from the time she got to know Shelly. So yeah,
Yep. She was a good
yeah.
kid. So she's still a
She's
great kid.
and she still is. She's a beautiful, beautiful
I do
kid.
think about them often though. Like
Mm-hmm.
I ran into one of my kids that are in college recently, and I didn't recognize them, but they recognized me because I guess I look the same. But yeah,
Mm.
it's kind of amazing to see where they are, and
Mm-hmm.
other kids, you had that kind of impact, even though you took care of them when they were real little.
Right.
Yes.
Have you been approached a lot by children you've helped? Early?
Yeah, some have found me on social media actually,
Ooh, that's wonderful.
and have been in contact with me some.
I do have another question for you. Why do you think we condition our boys to repress their emotion in childhood, yet expect them to be emotionally expressive in monogamy?
Well, that question's deep.
That
And
is really
Sorry.
deep.
I'm sorry. I'm trying here.
but it's,
Whoa.
I don't know how we expect them to be emotionally available and, emotionally intelligent, if you will, if they're repressing it constantly, because they're not. Because what I have found working with kids for many years is boys especially, it turns into anger and depression. So how are they supposed to be secure and manly and available and protect and provide or whatever they're expected in our society and culture? It's just not going to happen if we don't change the teaching and system, and it starts at home as well. From our parenting and teaching and everything. It's like society expects it, and if we don't change, we're in a whole lot of trouble.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're already heading not in a good direction.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we're go ahead.
And me, I always like to clear up a little misconceptions. But some of the phrases we use, I think sometimes they're being used without much thought. There is no such thing as a man not being emotionally available, because even in his decision not to be there, like in that way, it's still an emotional decision. So what emotions are fostered and conditioned within the man, and that itself has a lot to do with with his upbringing. Because somebody who's not emotionally available, then is just in a neutral mode. He'll just be neutral.
Mm-hmm.
He'd just be like pretty much just at peace, and he maybe
Well,
not here.
I have to challenge that.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And I say that because it's funny because one of our viewers, Lanyetta, she's watching right now, and just taking it all the way back. I was that guy, and
Okay.
so I understand what they mean when they say emotionally. You're aloof. You're emotionally aloof. It's like, all right, there's
Bingo.
no,
Sorry.
You're aloof.
yeah, emotionally you're
Mhm.
aloof, so you're always cool.
Mm-hmm.
You're always collect, but
Mm-hmm.
the woman doesn't get to experience you on an emotional level, so she just gets someone that's very cold and calculated. He may perform all these acts of services. He may perform all these acts of service, but he's not emotionally invested in the relationship. He's doing all
Okay.
the right things on the surface, but as far as like, do I make you happy? Are you happy with me? And he
Mhm.
might say yeah, but he doesn't actually feel that. And it's like, even within himself, he doesn't have the access. And I'm saying that just from personal experience. I didn't know what it meant either. Like, really unavailable. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I know what she's talking about, and it kind of like
Okay.
pains.
Yeah.
Man. I was
Yeah.
there once.
But
So
I mean, for me, it's really hard to imagine being somebody who's really having spiritually cultivated such a level of emotional absence,
Mm.
to actually be emotionally unavailable. Because, like I say, even your choice to be aloof, well, even with that, that could be you still offering. That could be your way of you offering compassion, your way of showing that I care. It could be your way. And just because somebody else, it doesn't agree with somebody else's way or how they think you should be, it doesn't mean that you're not available. It's just that you're doing it your way. Just like that book, Love Language, that we talk about. So these kind of things, it's always an emotional reaction or response. Something is driving the behavior of a man, and his emotional state could be that he is afraid of being vulnerable, like we had talked about last time, right? His
Yes.
vulnerability. So showing things in that way can make him vulnerable. So he chooses another way where he don't feel vulnerable to express himself or to emotionally be available. And it may not look like what somebody wants him to do it. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying it's just,
Yeah.
it's just kind of the ways I still think I can't even imagine you not being emotionally available, brother.
Man. Yeah, that was
Acts of service
Yeah.
could be their love language.
Right, but
Yeah.
again, that term right there, it used to
Yeah.
bother me mainly because I knew what they were talking about, but so it's not to say that Saba's wrong, but there is a barrier
Understood.
there. So
Yeah.
so there's a distance.
Yeah.
It's
I get
like
it.
I'm here physically, I'm here, but you can't have. I don't want you to have access to my fears and my anxieties and
Sure.
even
Yeah.
my happiness, right?
Yeah.
So there's a distance. So that's what's meant by emotional availability. That woman doesn't get access to those experiences. So yeah,
Mhm.
she gets the physical, but she don't like. Dang, are you okay? Like, yeah, I'm fine.
Well, then let's look at the alternative. What about the ones who are emotionally available in these kind of ways? A man that is so sensitive and so vulnerable to his feelings get hurt so easily, and he expresses by being abusive. That's emotional availability.
Yeah, they out there.
It ain't fun though, is it?
Yeah. Oh,
It ain't fun, but it's true.
Yes, a lot of times, sadly.
Oh, she said they've been called a simp a lot of times, sadly.
oh.
Well, a lot of times, but this is why I say that's why that principle has got to have examples to emulate, and I think a man in the home that can actually show, where the son can actually emulate that emotional expression, that healthy emotional expression. That's what I would say, and I think that itself, because it gives him a chance to again explore his emotions on that vulnerable level in a safe space with his father, like the constant I love yous, hugs, and stuff like that coming from the man, to the boy. He will grow up to also be able to express the same thing. He would become, it would be his level of affection. And I think that's what people are really asking for when they say somebody who's not emotionally available. What they're saying, he's not expressive enough. He's not affectionate.
Yeah.
He's just not affectionate enough. It doesn't mean that he's not emotionally available. He's just expressing a certain condition, emotional condition, and instead of being withdrawn. He's not even his being withdrawn is still an emotional expression because it's fear. It's fear. He's trying to protect other aspects of himself because that he don't want to be touched or to be scrutinized. So he's trying to protect that. Like Shelly said, if he's been called a simp, and then we get this over masculine teaching, boys cannot cry and so forth, then he puts that in the background and say, I got to show up and I got to protect that. So it switches his emotional condition. So he's still going to be emotionally expressive. It just ain't going to be it ain't going to be the emotion that you like. That's all it is.
It's not going to show up the way you think it's going.
That's it.
Anger.
That's it.
So Saba, let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this. So based off what you said and what we are alluding to as in a cipher right now, how strong is that hug, that I love you, and that nurturing from a man, a grown man? How strong is that against 1, 2, maybe 10 likes on social media?
That makes all the difference in the world because it's confident building. The likes and all that stuff on social media gives you temporary bouts of dopamine.
Say it again one more time. Say it again.
Temporary bouts of dopamine.
What's the word you just used?
Dopamine. But you got to keep
what's the word
going
before
back
that?
For that fix.
Right. What's that word before that? Temporary. Okay.
It's temporary.
Okay.
That means
I hope somebody listening. Yeah.
You got to keep chasing that high. You see what I'm saying? But when you have somebody who has nurtured you in that from the get-go, your dopamine is constantly turned on. And it adds to your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and things like that. You're secure within yourself, so you don't need a dopamine fix. So because you already got that turned on, and it was nurtured and cultivated in you in your childhood. And so even now, like when I talk to Master Skywalker and King Newborn, they're my brothers, we say I love you. We send virtual hugs, and I know that there's a genuine compassionate connection between us. That right there, I don't care all the likes in the world can't match that. They couldn't match it because even as an adult man, because I didn't have that coming from a man when I was a child. The men that I knew that came into my mom's life were abusive, and many times I found myself trying to protect my mother, putting my own self in danger. They were abusive. See, so I didn't see good examples of men when I was growing up. And so I was one of them who grew up with lacking, being able to express affection, because I was always in warrior mode, trying to protect and and but now it's like I actually crave that connection with other males. I crave that connection, and even if I get it from my brothers, I got my most of my best friends are males. My best friends are males, other males, and they ain't the ones who always trying to talk about let's go out to a strip club and let's go drink here. It ain't none of that. No, It is heart to heart talking. I love yous. Give me a hug. You're empowering you to you great, holding me to my greatness. I hold them to their greatness and so forth. That's what we do, and that just comes across away from another male to a male, like it can't come across from anybody else. So yeah. So
I heard that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was a text message. I'm sorry.
That's all good.
I didn't turn it off. Shelly. Oh, I did have it on silent, and it still came through.
You still with us, Shelly?
You still with us, Shelly? Shelly gonna have to come on one day and talk about daycare, or not daycare, school boys, school. Yeah, children in school.
Yeah, I would love to. I have a lot of background in that.
Yes.
Yes, she does.
Wait a minute. Is there another question? Does John have another question? At what age does Shelly think boys are socialized to stop crying? Why you don't like me? Your questions are great, John.
5, 7, 10.
I've seen it, quite honestly, as young as 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I've noticed it difference with the race, black boys versus the a white boy, you know, or
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Just as an
Yeah.
example, I've noticed they're expected to be tougher in some cases. In some places I've worked, like I've seen it and I've noted it, like I've corrected other teachers, like in private, and some of them aren't even aware they're doing it, sadly. And it's just, you know,
Mhm.
like I mentioned, even in the books, like Preschool to Prison, the pipeline, and how it's just from early on, I would say the crib on,
Mm.
infancy on, and you know, it's like, you know, people say, oh, like to stop them crying at like 2-3 years old, but like I feel like it's really pushed down their emotions before they're in school at 4 or 5 years old. Not completely, but you know, I would say completely more, you know, at school age, but I would say it's pushed down quite a bit at 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
I wasn't that teacher that did that, but I've seen it firsthand.
Right. Oh, allowing that release is very, very, very important. No one's going to walk around bottled up with all of that. My grandmother was very old school, excuse my language, but she would always tell me, don't let my son pack that shit. I allow him to let it out. When my son gets around me and we're talking and he's having a moment, I allow him to have that moment, cry, get it out, and then I hug him so hard. And remind him, I love you. You are great. You are amazing. You are loved. You are wonderful. Allow him to get that out, and then squeeze his ass real tight. Excuse my language. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome that you do
Yeah.
that. And the
I'm very
affirmations.
affectionate. My daughter calls me now and be like, I just wish I could have a mommy hug. I give out hugs. I'm gonna hug your soul. You're gonna feel it. Feel it. I'm sorry, Shelly, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you getting ready to say?
No, I was just gonna tap into what you were saying. That you're doing great with your kids, you know, with the affirmations and the hugs, because
Yes.
so many times kids, especially boys, are torn down. Like, oh, you're being stupid, or you're this or that, and a lot of times they internalize that as I am stupid, or I am that, you know, and they're torn down enough out in the school and in the streets and on the playground and wherever, like at home. It's amazing to hear when a parent provides a safe space, and by allowing those hugs and that affirmation and allowing them to cry, it makes them emotionally intelligent as they get older and makes them more emotionally available the way society wants them to be.
Yes,
So,
yes.
kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Like, I haven't seen that much, and
baby.
when I do, I like to point it out. And I'm a big believer in hugging and affirming and stuff, you know, because myself, I didn't grow up with any of that either. So I've learned to be the opposite.
Yeah, so. I didn't grow up with that either. I was tore down growing up. Sometimes I look at my life and I be shocked and surprised how far I made it because of all the negative things that were spewing out at me as a child coming up. To even see that I've made it this far and doing this well, you know, I could be doing better. Is an accomplishment in itself. I'm just I be in amazement, like, wow, here I am. And then I'm surrounded. Yes. And then I'm surrounded by 3 intelligent, wonderful men who have helped me to see that there are good men out there after I've been through so much with men. To be surrounded by them is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say, DMN, you have been that for me.
Oh, yes.
You've been around. I won't get into detail, but I've been abused at all points by men. And you were one of the first safe spaces for me where I actually felt comfortable being around you and safe in your presence, if you will. And I felt like I could be open, like as a teacher, as a friend, as just everything. So I appreciate that. And even though we don't, you know, talk a lot nowadays, you're still, you know, up there in my books.
Oh yeah, I see you. You always around. I see your face all the time, and I really appreciate everything. But But yeah, but thank you. It is my honor and pleasure, to be that way, because I cherish you. You'll get nothing less than that safe space and secure feeling from me.
Mm. I have another. Thank you. Let that. You want to let that breathe?
Let
Because I
that
have
breathe.
another question. Okay.
I did too. I have another question too, but go ahead with yours.
Okay. For boys growing up in a single mother household, do you think the ideal of boys being the man of the house is detrimental to their development?
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
I was asking Shelly.
I'm
Well,
sorry, Miss Shelley.
we know
I
what
don't know.
King Newborn thinks.
If you want to answer, you can answer.
She said, go ahead.
No, I mean
Well,
you're trying to put anywhere from a 5-year-old to a 13-year-old in a man's position. That don't even
Mm-hmm.
sound right.
It really
right.
That
don't.
alone, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? That I'm just saying that don't even sound right. This young man, he ain't even figured out how strong he is to battle against his friend in wrestling. Let alone, you want me to do what? Act like I'm the man of the house? Make decisions? Critical decisions? Well thought out planning? Strategically? Nah. I'm finna go play with this basketball, this football, or I'm finna take this stick and just go hit stuff because it looks cool. And you want me to be a man? Nah, I'm good for
Mhm.
taking out the trash. I wash some dishes, but I'm still trying to go outside. Joy, he got me good yesterday in the chokehold. I gotta get him back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't think of a man. What you just put the man out? That mean I'm next. I don't want to be a man. Let me go finish outside with Joey. Cause see Keisha, she up the street. She smiled and laughed at Joey when he choked me. I ain't like that. I gotta get Joey back. Oh
Mhm.
no, you can't be man of the house. No, that's too much. That's too much
Right.
pressure when when
Yes.
when the man of the house ain't even accepted by not only the system but the woman that's supposed to be his safe place.
Right.
So how did
Mhm.
how did that work? So it's
Right.
man.
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you
What made
know
me
how
think
much
of
abandonment? My bad. Go ahead.
what inspired that question is as you guys were talking, there's a song by Rhapsody. Rhapsody is one of my top 5 um,
Mhm.
rappers of all time, and she's got this song. It makes me cry every time I hear it. That's why I don't listen to it a whole lot. It's called The Man, right? It's called The
Mm.
Man, and she's telling this story about a black boy who grew up without his father in the household, and it's the same tale that we all know. We're very familiar with it. Father ain't in the house, mom's working a couple of jobs, and that black boy is looking at his mom doing all this work, and he's upset and he feels kind of bad, like, yo, I got to do something about this, right? And of course, there's those subtle messages that some black mothers put out there. Hey, you the man of the house, and so you tell that to a black boy, or at least the right one, and he gonna take that seriously.
Hell
And
yeah.
so in the song, she talks about how this boy, grew up to be a teenager, and he was out in the streets, he was hustling. He had the weaponry on him, he had that work on him. And then his dad came around, and he had to confront his dad. And yeah, he made his dad feel like shit. He made his dad feel like shit. He was very angry, and he held all that hostility. And I think this was like later into his teens, and he was like, I'm the man now. I'm the man. But he was saying it with tears in his eyes. It's a great story. Great song if you guys haven't heard it, The Man by Rhapsody. So that's what inspired that question is, I I've heard it. My mom used to say
Mhm.
it to me, right? And I took that seriously. And it's not like she told me to do anything. She was just like, yo, you're the man of the house now. And I've heard other men say, hey, yeah, my mom said I was the man of the house too. It's like, yo, so what's that like?
Right.
You getting for some, it's all right, I'm gonna just go get a job as soon as I'm old enough. Others, it's like, yo, I need to talk to so and so down the street. He putting out work, and you know he rolling in that benzo, and you know he iced out, and he getting all the girlies, and he protected. He got a crew. I need to be like that because I ain't got no other model to build from. I'm the man of the house. I got to do something, you know. So that's what made me bring that up. Is it detrimental or is it helpful? Does it challenge a boy to just all right develop faster and just make things happen, or does it
Well,
actually hinder?
Hey, can I?
I would say it definitely hinders.
Okay.
It definitely hinders because you're skipping an important part of his developmental process to jump him from embryo to full blown mental man. You
Big
know,
fact.
he when he has no no there's everything in between is part of his development. And you talk so that's like you jumping from um uh from basic arithmetic, skipping
Ooh.
over everything else, and then you getting right to calculus. You
Yeah.
when you get there, there's a whole bunch of processes. It's going to be holes in your foundational understanding, of how to even calculate such equations, to where you're gonna find yourself failing a lot. And it's just the same as we develop, from boys to men. Then there's a process. Everything that happens in between is so necessary, from the time from us being able to play with our little toy trucks, us being able to play outside with our friends, us getting in trouble at school, being mischievous, all that stuff, learning motor skills. I mean, I was a gymnastics. We didn't call it gymnastics. We call it flipping, because I learned it in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was like 4 years old doing double somersaults on a mattress, and then went to the ground and started doing it because me and my friends got together and did it. By the time I got to high school, they thought I was a professional gymnast. Never ever took gymnastics in my life. Never was formally trained in gymnastics. So this is what I'm saying, that developmental process, but then that led to my physical conditioning and things like that. So yeah. And what was you gonna say, King? And then I have a question before we let
Shelly go. Shelly, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna allude to the fact of what John statement. That cycle is vicious and detrimental. Reason why I say that, because for the same reason that this young man, this boy, has been said, you the man of the house, could be the same mentality of the man that was just put out the house. He only knows how to
Ooh.
cater to the situation, but he has no foundation, no blueprint, no how to, no guidelines, no nothing. So in his mind, he doing what he did for his mom, for his current woman, or the mother of his children. But the mother of his children is looking at this like, this ain't no man. But then you just pass down orders to your son to be a man, or you the man of the house. It's a vicious cycle. A vicious
Mhm.
cycle.
And you know what that psychologically translates into, brother, is that it could have been her trying to dominate the situation, trying to have control, because this is probably why she put the man out and now wants her son to be, because that's somebody she can control. It could be that. You just never know what the reason is. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It
Fact.
really doesn't take away from her. Don't know what kind of emotional or personality chemistry that you're dealing with. So now the son's got to put up with it.
Facts.
Yeah.
I was just trying to spill over into the fact that with everything that we saying in light of violation of young boys, even
Yes.
with creating that space, it's very important that communication still has to be had, period.
Big time. Mm-hmm.
And understand sometimes
You write that down
communication
as a
ain't
principle.
even sometimes facts. Sometimes communication is not necessarily words,
Right.
body language,
Mhm.
the way you carry yourself, the way you might even be ashamed of who you are as a young boy, because you see in the world, like you still recording everything, you still have your own consciousness of what's going on in the world. Then you got your home front, that's a whole nother world. And then you got, like Sabadama said, I can't even play with my Tonka truck. my Hot Wheels car, or better yet, the video game, because my psyche all messed up. I'm not even allowed to be in an imaginary place of me as a young boy trying to become a teenager. Like I'm
Mhm.
skipping all of that because of everything. My sensory is overload on nothing but saying that I'm not right, and I ain't even got to that level yet.
Mhm. And
Wow.
look at our example of that. We have, Michael Jackson, who as a very, very young boy had to assume this very adult role of going out to entertain the world. When he
Mm.
was just a boy, he was still in elementary school. When this happened, look what he did as a grown man. He tried to recreate his childhood, the childhood that he missed. So he created this Never Never Land, and he wanted to hang around children. And look what kind of position that put him in. You see, so a lot of times that's what happens. That's what happens when you deny a growing boy his childhood. Then you throw him into a situation of once he becomes a man, he has his own situation with a girl or whatever, or even just out in the world. He's gonna try to go back and get that developmental stage. It's just by nature. He's gonna go out and start exploring and all this other kind of stuff, and he's gonna be making a lot of mistakes because the world is not as forgiving to a man as he is to a boy. You know,
Or or
so
or a woman.
Mm.
yeah, a woman is not either. They definitely take more from a boy than they would from a man. They just won't tolerate it, but they're not understanding the part they played in it.
Mhm.
The
And
part
what's
they
so
played in
crazy is the main thing that's always said, and for clarity for whoever's watching or listening to this, I love all. I want to be clear on that. This is a safe place. God
it.
level things that people don't want to talk about. That's very, 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 very important. But just think about this. By the time this young boy considered himself liking on a woman, he's liking from a boy's mentality. On top of the fact the world is telling him that he needs to grow up. On top of the fact the woman that he's encountering is looking at him as he's supposed to be that man. Now, being that he missed out on the middle of everything, in his head he matured because he handling business at the home front because mom has anointed him, you the man of the house.
Mm-mm. Skipped all over the rites of passage,
Oh
right?
my God.
Think about that. For whoever listened, just really think about that. And you
Hmm.
just sent them out to the world based off, and I'm not shooting at nobody. I'm just saying from a man's perspective. I used to be a barber for 16 years. It's a lot of from the age 2 on up to men that's been married for 10, 20, 30 years, or guys, young men that are in high school. You'd be surprised at some of the stories that, just a haircut will bring about a boy or a
Yeah.
man.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Yep. I'm telling you.
You ever seen a grown man be told he can't wear a haircut? Huh?
Hmm.
Anybody?
Never.
A grown man be told by his wife, no, 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 no,
Oh,
no,
that's
no.
emasculating. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
That's
okay. And,
emasculating.
and because she has assumed this particular role based off the example that I'm giving, that even when she was raising her son, like you said, control, it got to a point that the son said, "Hey, you told me when I was 6, I was the man. Now that I'm 15, like John said, I got that tool on me. I'm outside. I get respect now. Ain't no laughing no more. I am a man." She lost control the second time from the father to the son. And now that she has a new man, he ain't even a man.
Hmm.
He's still living from a mature boy perspective. That's why she able to say, sit down, give him a basic haircut because I don't want all this extra outside when we at the gas station. And you be like, something that's simple, man.
Mm-hmm.
then
That's right.
then became a straight stone silent killer in our community, in our culture, so fast,
Mm-hmm.
so fast. When it could have
Fast.
started with one conversation between man and woman saying that, hey, you know what? I don't know what it takes to operate as a man. Hey, I don't know what it takes to operate as a woman. All right, well, let's sit down, let's figure this out. Because
Together.
we have an example we finna put out in the world.
Yes, there it is. Because
Mm-hmm.
basically what you just said is you're acknowledging that the way that we was brought up was not brought up the right way.
Mm.
So people are acknowledging, okay, yeah, I wasn't brought up the right way, but let's sit down and figure out how we can do it the right way together.
Mm-hmm.
We still
It's
have
gonna
Shelby
take
on.
some egos. It's gonna take some egos to be killed. It's gonna take some egos to be
Hold on,
killed to
King.
do
Hold on,
that.
King. Yeah,
Hold
we
on,
still gotta
hold
we gotta
on.
handle our caller.
Wait a minute. We still got. Wait a minute.
Y'all
Diamond
know
has
where
a
brother.
question for Shelly, and then we're gonna let Shelly. We sorry we didn't have you on this phone for a minute. We're gonna ask one more question, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna let you go, honey. Go ahead, Diamond.
So, in response to your comment, when you said being open and available to kids with no judgment allows a safe space and able to trust eventually. So, learning their gut instincts too. So, it's very tricky, Diamond, to know who to trust. What would you say? How do we encourage what type of a way should we interact with children in order to allow them to build a healthy amount of trust, and being able to allow them to gauge who they can trust and who they cannot trust. What should we be teaching our children as far as that goes?
Well, one thing I would start out with is like to be that safe space, like their everyday interactions and constantly affirming the kids and just being there for them. Like kids learn and grow through meaningful, purposeful play. And psychologically, they need to know that you're there for them. And if you are not judging them when they're at their worst emotionally, AKA throwing a fit, just acting at their worst, being naughty, as they would say, or just crying or having a really hard time, is just being there, letting them have that fit and being able to teach them how to talk through that and affirming like how they believe that it's valid. And then you also have to teach them, because they're a kid, how to handle that situation.
Yes.
With what to do. And it can look a lot of different ways depending on the kid and their situations and their backgrounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if they've been abused or neglected and like also like trusting the kid when they come to you with something, really listen to them and really believe them. Don't dismiss what they say, because that allows their gut instinct to kick in. Be like, oh, okay, if I feel this way, I should trust it. See, like if you go to an adult and you're told, oh, no, that's not possible, or no, that didn't happen, this, that, and the other, they're taught not to trust their gut instinct. And by being available, if they come to you with something serious or for something little, they'll be able to come to you with something more serious.
Yes.
Hey, this happened to me.
Yeah.
And they'll trust you with that. And by doing that, that helps them to evolve emotionally and everything else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what you
intuition.
Yes. And what you're saying is important to the relationship between the child and the parent. The parents need to gain the trust of their children, because nowadays, remember, we have kids offing themselves, killing themselves, and the parents knew nothing about what they were dealing with in their world. The kid never felt comfortable coming to the parent talking about their issues, because you can't. And this is why I didn't put down discipline as one of my principles, is because the way people view discipline. This discipline also is a broken down process. Yeah, it's a broken down process. It's not just divvying out punishment. You know,
Right.
it's not giving out punishment, but discipline is the way that you interact with the child, period. And you can guide the child. That's a disciplinary action. But like with me and my son Chandre, you know, I had to talk with him about drugs when I knew he was actually smoking weed when he was in middle school. And I just had to talk with him. I didn't make him feel like he was going to get in trouble for it, but I educated him about it. And then he started to come to me when he felt like he was getting out of hand. You know, he came to me and talked to me about it, you know, on his own. He was not scared. And so we talked through it. It didn't stop him from smoking weed, but I did let him know that you need to curb that you need to curb it, but just don't ever do it in my house, because then we're going to have a problem. But, you know, the fact is, if I shut you out, you're going to end up doing it anyway, just without my knowledge. I'd rather you do it with my knowledge, you know, never having my approval, but at least I have knowledge of it. So we talked about it. Anytime he went through anything, I was the first one he called. Every single time. So that trust is invaluable when it comes to parent and child. You know, how my son trusted me in that way, because he knew Dad is not going to scold me. Dad is going to guide me through this. That's what he trusted, that he would get the answers he needed to get through it. And that's what I gave him. And I still do that today.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to that when it comes to especially my oldest daughter. She's in Cincinnati, Ohio right now, so she has her moments. But anything that go wrong, I'm the first person she calls.
Mm.
I am the first, and I love being the first person she calls. That's a lot. That means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
To know that she's going to come to me first. Mom, let's talk. Let's sit down. Yeah, I love it. My son,
yes.
when he's not going to call, but when he's around me,
Mm-hmm.
he starts to relax, and then he opens up, and then I listen, and I respond according to the conversation. That is, if he is looking for a response, or if he wants one. Because sometimes, again, when it comes to you all men, I'm learning to sit and listen. Just listen.
Mm-hmm.
Shelly, I want to thank you for calling in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shelly.
Yeah, thank you for riding along. I know it was a long ride.
Yeah, it was a long. How long was she on here?
Yeah.
Oh my God, 45 minutes. Girl, you was just a part of the show today. That's all.
Thank you, Shelly. It was good to hear your voice today and everything.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right.
And we'll talk again, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye now.
Mm-hmm.
I
did.
Yeah.
Go ahead, King.
Oh, I want to say another violation of young black boys is fear.
It's what?
Fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
Oh, so you say it's another violation?
You fear.
Yeah.
Fear. I can see that.
Well, I want him
Like
to expound
John
on
now.
it. Expound on
All
that,
right.
because I want to know. I want
I
to
got a
see
story
what
for you.
perspective.
Oh,
I
you
got a
got
story
one.
for you.
Okay.
I got a story for you. It's a
There you
personal
go.
story. It's a personal story. So look, fear can open up a doorway to many different things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got the fear if you don't do this right, you know, there's a consequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got a fear of it's dark. Turn the light on, fear goes away, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's also the fear of what we keep alluding to. You better not cry. You
Mhm.
better not cry.
Mm.
Do you know I had a bully in the third or fourth grade? And I used to have to fight this boy almost twice a week. Mind you, I don't know how to fight. But you better not cry. You know what that does to a boy's psyche?
Psyche,
You better not cry, but I ain't gonna give you nothing to equip yourself to handle this situation.
Mm.
Hold on, I'm gonna go even further. I bet not have to pay this work to come to your school to see about this. I go another fear.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
when the time come, quote unquote, to have this safe place to be able to talk about what's going on, the only thing that you're being told is what we alluded to tonight as well.
Mm-hmm.
You need to man up, suck them tears up, and we're gonna help you with it. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know? Do you know my uncles as a lesson to not be scared, to overcome fear? I bet not cry. I'm sharing. I'm just transparent right now. They used to toss me across the room back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
To anybody else, you might be like, "Oh, that ain't nothing." No, I mean, when I say toss, I mean literally pick up, throw in the air, back and forth across the room.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
After a while, it created a place in me that I used to tuck everything in because regardless of what I say, it's still my fault. Thanks to
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah.
Thanks to fear. By the time I was in the sixth grade, going to Blewett Middle High, I fought every day. That's in St. Louis on 20th and Cass. I fought every day. I got suspended on my birthday, February 27th, and I was told I was the problem. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
go even further. I'm gonna go even further. Safe place was created for me, which forced me to get my hand speed together. Was by my workshop teacher. This is still in high. This is grade school in the sixth grade. He pulled me to the side one day and told me everything gonna be okay. Gave me a hug. First time ever getting a real hug from a man. I bust out crying. Didn't even know why. Just bust out crying.
Mm-hmm.
Cause this
Yeah.
man saw the pain in me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know after that I went to 12th and Park, started taking boxing lessons. So every day I sparred at school and I sparred at 12th and Park. I got my hand speed together for 7th grade. I ain't had no more problems after that. Even though I fought the next 2 years, I ain't had no real problems no more. But I'm just saying, shout out to fear.
Well, do you understand too that even the boys you had to fight, they were also dealing with the same thing in their life.
Exactly.
Mm.
See, that was the
Exactly.
cycle. That's the thing. That's the
A
reality of
unwritten
it.
rule, a unwritten rule of a cycle that's constantly going on, and ain't nobody taking the time out to talk about it, to break the curse that's constantly being passed down. But we
See,
looking for our young men to save, but at the same time, we're looking at our young men and adult men to be 100% men.
uh-huh. Yep. Exactly. I think this is what Love Sean also was sort of alluding to on this comment. She said, I've always encouraged my grandsons to leave their emotions and feelings out. So I tell them all the time that could be great, but their path to greatness is going to be different. And but here's the thing. There is a time to where in the developmental stage, the psychological developmental stage of children, we have certain faculties within us that we express. The ones that are put in place is our faculty of learning and receptivity, and also emotions. Emotions come with the body, number one. Because when you are responding to an event, something that's happening in your life, no matter what, it could be a sound, it could be, whether it's a loud thud or whether it's somebody talking to you, whatever. There are hormones that are actually developing in your body according to how you're perceiving what's going on. Those hormones are going to tell you how to emotionally react. Okay, they're going to tell your body what to do. Right? It's going to either send you into fight or flight, you know, or it's gonna be relaxing to you. It's gonna make you excited or what have you, you know, huh?
No, John, I'm trying to get
Oh,
into it, John. Go ahead.
oh,
That's why I was
and
down with it. Go ahead.
these faculties are in place, but also it only within the first 7 years of life do they start to try to get a handle on those things. Only within the first 7 years of life do they make their own decisions on how to try to get a handle of those things. It really takes a human the 28 years of life before they can start to realize of all the emotional conditionings that they have actually set for themselves, how they've responded to their um, the events that happened in their life, the experiences they've had all the way up to that time, to where, and then they finally say, you know what, I need to change. And this is almost at the age of 30. Some of them, like me, was over 30 when I figured out, okay, I need to change some things. I got to take
Oh,
handle on this. But it's normal anywhere from up to 20. And some people never transcend that level of psychological expression. They never do, because if you don't embark upon, whether by yourself or somebody leads you to a some sort of a spiritual cultivation, some sort of way to where you can understand the world around you more, from a deeper perspective, so you can start responding to the falsities in life. The way you feel and the way you perceive is not the way things are, and we don't always take the time to teach our children that, we and let alone our teenagers and so forth. I was just looking at a video to where this lady, this cop was knocking on this lady's door, uh trying to figure out why she was kicking her son, our 16-year-old son, out. And she's like, well, my 16-year-old son had a court date this morning, and he didn't show up, so she was taking her son to court. Well, they had a court date because he had kicked in her door, and she had to call the cops on him. And now there was a court date set up, and she said that she had actually uh, um, explained to her sister, who was there, not to let her son in if he came by because he didn't make his court date. Now there's a warrant out for his arrest. The cop was saying, well, you can't tell him not to come back in. That he said if you lock him out, then he can kick in the door. She said, oh no, there is no kicking in my door. And if my son is out of hand, and I got other little children here. And so the whole time I'm saying this, I'm thinking, where did she fail? Because her 16-year-old son has no respect for her. His emotions are more important than his respect for her. So where did she fail? And there was no man in the house. There was no man in the house. And this is a culture. I'm gonna say it like this. It was a culture to where they let their little boys just do what they want to do, and then eventually these little boys end up growing up to be entitled. They have this sense of entitlement, and they show it early, end up being abusive to their mothers, and then eventually to their spouses, you know so I see that a lot in that particular culture. Um so anyway, so this is what we're saying when it comes to not showing, telling them to leave their emotions and feelings out. That's one thing, but when you snatch that rug from underneath them, you have to replace it with something.
there you go.
Again, that's where the guidance comes in. That so you can't just tell a kid ain't gonna know how to leave their emotions out of it. They don't know nothing else. There is no wisdom or knowledge there to replace that. There is no guidance. So it's gonna have to you're gonna have to understand that it's not just that cut and dry, you know. But when you do that, make sure you give good guidance, knowledge and wisdom. Rules. It rules. All right. So communication. That's why it became my eighth principle, and thank you for that. Uh, so communicate to the kids, with your guidance and everything. So anyway, that's my new spiel.
Beautiful spill. Thank you, Lynetta, for that comment. And it becomes a vicious cycle that continues over time.
Ashe. It does.
King Newborn, you have anything you want to add?
Uh, it- if I can't say nothing else, to not just this panel, but just to whoever's listening or watching this, let's take a small evaluation of ourselves and really make sure that if it's not in our home front, who do we encounter that sometimes we don't allow a space to be a safe place for anybody to open up to, including ourselves. Sometimes we don't even create a space for ourselves to be de-stressed. So I mean, I don't know, from a young man's perspective up until my age now, just sometimes just having somebody that you could talk to that be like, you know what, I understand, I get it,
Mm-hmm.
make a world of a difference, man.
That's it. That's it. It does. And that's no matter what the age. I'm telling you, we need that
Facts,
now.
facts.
We need that now.
Well, I applaud you, Diamond,
Oh, well, thank you.
for
What?
for for making a change within yourself to become a better man.
Thank you.
That's what God level is all about, baby.
That's it.
That's God level all day long. And
Mm-hmm.
don't worry about how long it took you. You did it. It's done.
Did it, right?
Yeah, my brother too. I applaud Newborn because you know he is so far removed from who he used to be. John, you too. You could have been out there, but you chose a different path. I applaud all of you, man. Even though you went through what you've been through, this is how you've turned out. Look at the beauty of that. Now you are of service to the community. You didn't allow for something that had happened to you in the past to dictate the rest of your life. You took control of it
I say.
and decided to do
Mm-hmm.
something different. And you became better men because of it. Great men. Someone put, you all are great men. Yes, absolutely. And I am honored to be on this podcast with three of the most intelligent men that I have ever come across.
Thank you, beloved. It's
So
definitely my
I
pleasure and my
love it.
honor.
I
Man,
still got work, but I appreciate it.
Oh, we
man,
all do. I'm
we
not a completed
that don't
project
never
yet.
stop. But you are so far removed from who you used to be.
Mm-hmm. Of
Yeah, but
This
but
ain't,
well,
this
I
ain't day
mean,
one.
no,
course.
it's not, but it is a day. I
Yeah.
mean, man, look, even within this conversation, all three of us have encountered either a moment or a conversation within the past week or two that constantly remind us, like, man,
Mm-hmm.
I know how far I've come, but it's always that little but.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
still got so much growth and development to
To do.
encompass. I
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
still have so much growth and development to encompass. But furthermore, like my brother Skywalker alluded to backstage before we even came on the air, you know how hard it is to not feel completed when you have a task that just bugs the fuck out of you, and you be like, I need to come up with a solution because I don't like for this to be not done,
Mm-hmm.
unanswered, hovering around. Like, how is it that I can't fix this?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's
Mm-hmm.
a what do you mean? I know I make sense. This is A, B, section C, but it comes with one, two, three. And if you just go like, if you just go straight down the line, just like Saba said, if knowledge, wisdom brings understanding, which adds to your culture or your way of being or your ritualistic practice that you do on a daily basis. And if that's true, how is it that I can't succumb to a solution for something that I feel is quite obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's
Yes. Yes, yes, Shelly. Well, last time I used that scenario, and she was talking about. She said, just think of an elephant. You can't eat the whole thing at once, one bite at a time. I remember
facts.
the last time I used that analogy to somebody. That's why you got to be careful who you're talking to, because this dude was trying to say you shouldn't go around eating elephants. They ain't do nothing to nobody. Now he was serious. I said, I didn't eat an elephant, brother. That's not. I'm not saying I ate an elephant. He was really thinking I was talking about eating an elephant. He's, you don't eat elephants, man. I said, you know what? You're not qualified for even this level of conversation. Let me leave you alone. But I get it, Shelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go, I want to at least throw this last bit in here.
Mm-hmm.
The influence of hypermasculinity on not just American culture, but Black culture, and also how it intercepts with the socialization of Black boys. It's right there in front of our faces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't give much acknowledgement to the reality that hypermasculinity typically leads to men having a lower life expectancy, death from violence, speeding, and death from tension-related diseases, right? You got to really think about how this energy leads to aggression in men and even isolationism, right? Depression. And it's perpetuated throughout our culture. And it touches on Black boys at such a young age that it just becomes our reality, right? And it's almost a prison, and there's no way out. And it influences our parenting and influences our relationships with women. Hypermasculinity is correlated to violence and domestic abuse, sexual abuse, even non-sexual abuse, right? And I do want to give credit to all the men and women out there that have been trying to neutralize and I'll say neutralize hypermasculinity in the culture. But it is a major problem, not just in Black culture, but also you can find it in other cultures as well. But when you see all this machismo that's going on in Black culture with Black men, and there's an era where, it used, especially like New Yorkers, New Yorkers, Harlem, right? Where, there was a certain archetype you had to adorn yourself with as a Black man. You had to wear Timbs, baggy jeans and such. And even today, that's the ideal archetype of Black masculinity. But it's not just how we present ourselves. It really is about the behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of risk-taking behavior. Most men, practical men, are going to take calculated risks, not high risk behaviors, right? Hypermasculinity being so pervasive, it's going to lead to us dying, right? So I want to give acknowledgement and respect to everybody out there that's been challenging those stigmas of that's associated with hypermasculinity. And just speaking from experience, I remember growing up, even just considering how I viewed women coming up, right? I had a balance, but I noticed, especially looking back, through the lens of my 20s, looking back and just how I objectified women, but it was unconscious. I wasn't aware that I programmed myself or allowed myself to be programmed to view women in such crude ways, right? Even though I loved and respected women because of my mama, I was still fighting against those forces, right? I was still met up with those forces. And a lot of, you see it in a lot of Black boys. There's certain conversations that we can't have. Even looking at my nephews now, when I picked them up from school, there was a practice that I kind of came to with my son's early development. I would force him. No, force isn't the word. I would compel him to talk to me about his school day, right? I say force, but I was really just like, hey, what happened at school today? And the reason why I did that is because I noticed that when I would ask kids, hey, how was your day? Or how are you? I would always get these very short responses. I'm like, no, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. And they'll talk, but you got to give them something to talk about. So something as simple as, hey, just tell me what you learned at school. Tell me what happened at school. I realized how important that is in not only allowing them to express themselves, but also to develop their own language in expressing themselves, having the tools to do that, because a lot of Black boys don't know how to express themselves. And it's weird. It's weird because in certain regards, in certain, like we know how to express ourselves through what we do, but in terms of conversation, you know, there's some lack there, right? And so I wanted to, you know, make that a practice for my nephews and for my son. But I also just realized, dang, you know what? It hit them too. So hypermasculinity is a pervasive problem in our community. Heck, we even got the example of again, Jonathan Majors and
Creed 3.
Yeah. Just off camera. I mean, just off camera. Brothers taking pictures together. You got one video where they just, you know, showing that brotherly love. Brotherly love that we all know about. There's a lot of Christians out there that know about that brotherly love, but then at the same time, the irony is you can't do that. Oh, it's all brotherly love, but you can't do that. But it's brotherly love, but you can't do that, right? And then in another video is released where, you know, okay, their sexuality was somewhat questioned. Their masculinity.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Right. And then in the other one,
that's the problem.
When they're together, they're looking, you know, at, you know, all that moonlight right there. And it's like, dang, y'all didn't even try to be subtle, but it's like, okay. And just not too long ago, you guys were questioning their masculinity. And now we're upset that they're objectified. Come on, y'all.
See, but that's a societal issue right there, is that it's going to be scrutinized in such a way. You know, you know, if you're, because there is a group of even men that's out there that'll, you know, that'll take anything you say and try to make it seem like it's going towards that other way, you know. But the thing is that that what you were saying though reminds me of the character. Remember the movie Glory with Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, and so, you know, about the 54th Regiment, Massachusetts, you know. But that Denzel Washington's character, I can't remember the name of the character, but that was a hypermasculinity, how he kept picking on the weak guy, the guy who couldn't speak good, you know, and who was seemed to have the weak demeanor, but he would actually bully him. But then when it came time to give a speech, he couldn't talk. He was like, I ain't much about no praying. You know, he didn't know what to say. You could tell he really clammed up in these moments. But when it wasn't in that, when the spotlight wasn't on him, then he will be picking on this weaker guy, you know, to make himself feel good. But then when the spotlight is on him, he didn't know what to do. You see, and so we have things like that. And then when he was given responsibility, you know, it wasn't until the end that he was given the responsibility to carry the flag, because the sergeant had fallen, so he had to pick up the flag and carry it, you know, and he died. So that was his big moment. He did that with honor, you know, like you know, if you carrying the flag, you ain't got no weapon. Okay, if you're carrying the flag, you ain't got no weapon. So you know, if you carry the flag, you are vulnerable because you're at the front too. You're also at the front, and all the guns are behind you, and except the ones that are in front of you are the ones that are shooting at you. So you're going to be the first one to get shot. But that itself is one of those things where I got to prove myself. You know, even if I die trying it, and I've never had the ability to show that I'm a man, but here it is. I'm at that moment, you know, and so yeah. So that reminds me of that character. I haven't seen that movie in a while. I got to go and see that. I used to watch it every night. That one in Lion King every night when I was in college. So, but thank you for that commentary, though, John. Very eye opening.
Yeah, it is, especially even considering just media portrayals, right? Because we keep talking about positive male role models, right? But even again through the lens of hypermasculinity, that message of a masculine man is violent. You see it in action movies, sports, right?
Yes.
Masculine men are violent, and you know there's a sense of privilege that's accompanied with that, which again it kind of supports this very toxic idea that even men of power are abusive in some way, and they're glamorized and glorified for being violent and abusive, right? Oh, that's a masculine man, that's the alpha, right? And then we got that all convoluted, right? But I just wanted to mention that in the conversation that homophobia and hypermasculinity are some socializing factors that have been impinging on the development of our Black boys. Again, even looking at it through sex, you know, a lot of women are, you know, have been vocal about how they haven't been privy to, you know, the big O, right? The orgasm, because of how they've been socialized to look at sex. You know, boys are socialized to look at sex as, okay, I'm supposed to be pleased and she's going to be pleased no matter what. That's hypermasculinity, right? And so there's no equity even in those spaces right there as it relates to sex. You know, there's a patriarchal mindset that's again toxic through the lens of hypermasculinity. So these forces right here, you gotta look out for them, and you gotta temper them. Right. And that goes for both mother, auntie, grandma, grandfather. You know, I know it's going to take a lot for us to look at ourselves and to evaluate our culture and our media influences and really say, all right, we're going to cut these things out. But I mean, you're going to keep reproducing the same kind of men if you don't make a change. If our culture doesn't make a change and say, all right, you know what, this is okay and this isn't, if our culture doesn't do that, we're going to keep reproducing the same types of men.
Yep. You want something different, do something different.
There you go.
So I'll pinch it off there.
King Newborn, you have anything you want to say in closing?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Diamond?
Nope, I've said everything I'm going to say on this issue.
Okay. Love on our children. Be their peace, their support system, nurture them. Be their safe space from the moment they come out of the womb, not just for a couple of years, but for your lifetime.
I see.
Yeah, that's my piece. John, what you got for us?
Oldie but a goodie, because it's relative.
Absolutely.
We take it.
I so early? Nah, I so late. Call it bad timing. I don't want to violate. Let me find my hiding space. Hopefully my mind escapes. Want to reach a higher place. Building up the confidence empire state till the sky is scraped. Like coffin ceilings. Buried in my feelings. I'm feeling indifferent. Life or death situation, man, I can't tell the difference. Found a reason to smile, but my smile was counterfeit. Guess I don't amount to shh. Keep myself preoccupied so I don't have the time to cry. Only the strong survive. I've died 1,000 times. Even though I only live one life, I'm renting just to own it. To find out that I owe it. 7 light years of emotional distance. Heart rate is Speedy Gonzalez. Running with the quickness says I'm sitting still. Heated from an argument, but I just need to chill. I heard they manufacture meditation in a pill for mass appeal, but I don't think it's real. Truth is hard to swallow. If you're hungry, then you will make it happen. But what the bleep do we know? Red pill, blue pill, both of them placebos. Democrat, Republican, I don't see color. I mean, I don't fuck with none of it. not even pornographically. It's virtual insanity, fake personalities battling. My mental health becomes a casualty. I can't exercise my right to make things wrong. Saying less is more. I'm getting short to get along. To be alone like I owe it to myself. I'm behind on my payments. I guess I'll keep delaying. My heart is the Four Seasons Resort. She spends the night, then she leaves, doesn't text, doesn't call until she needs another vacation. Yo, who taught you queens to treat kings like slaves just to call it a boss move? You say what I deserve, but never give it to me. Glad you find it amusing. I find it confusing. Practice what you preach, but preaching just ain't my style. Myself is a vibe that I haven't felt in a while. I tell you I'm fine. You know it's a lie. You say that I'm dope. I cannot get high off my own supply. Too humble for narcissism. Your arrogance is cheap. Good woman you are, but not committed as you think. You're just another love song for my heart to do the break dance to. I need new dance moves. I'm just a black man without the freedom to be me. I isolate to exercise my freedom to be weak. Bless.
Bless.
Bless, bless.
Bless.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
Yeah.
A goodie indeed.
Somebody put up the hands.
He
Yes.
said, I'm so late. Isolate.
Yes.
Get along.
Yes.
Need alone. Oh, man. Bruh.
He be coming with them
Dude.
bars, don't he?
Man, don't he?
Man, your wordplay.
It's
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah, I'm getting short to get along. Yeah, it'd be like that.
Yeah, you hear me? But double entendres. Hey,
Yeah.
I fucks with you.
I'm gonna have to come to you for some lessons
man.
on that though,
Who you
John.
Oh my
telling?
God.
You and me both.
Man.
I can't even
Them
pick up a
double
pen. I'm so sorry.
entendres, bruh. You gotta pay attention. You gotta pay attention.
Amazing.
Yes,
as always.
yes.
Absolutely amazing.
Also, one more thing.
Isolate.
One more thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't at least put this up on the screen for the black men out there.
Absolutely.
We do have resources, y'all. Therapyforblackmen.org, 100blackmen.org, and we have besomeone.org. There are a lot of resources there for not just black men, but also the children as well. So if you are watching this, rewind that real quick and look at those websites, check them out, get some resources there for therapy and also mentorship.
Become a mentor. Safe space for our young black boys, because I don't care what these songs are saying, what this new generation of women are saying. We need our black men. Period.
I see.
Peace.
We
need each
cannot
other.
do this without you. And I was just talking to a young lady this morning. I said, it's beautiful that, black women are number one in leading the country in entrepreneurship. Okay. Beautiful. But you know what would be even better? When we can do a reach back to our own black men and pull them up with us. A lot of women out there are looking for men to be all the way together, and they ain't even got it together themselves.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's be real. A woman
Like Chris
cannot.
Tucker said. Chris Tucker say, same time, man, same time. We got to do that together. We come up at the same time.
We gotta do
Period.
it together. I need you all, and it was apparent. I'm glad that I didn't go the rest of my life thinking the way that I was thinking towards me. And I'm glad that you all have been um, pivotal in changing that thought process. So when I look at me, and my brother used to say, you know, you look, Dion, I was just saying this earlier today, that I look at stuff straight on. He was like, I'm gonna need for you to start walking to the side just a tad bit to get a different perspective. And he's been
Real.
telling me this for years, and I heard him. I just wasn't accepting the message, and I apologize for that. As you can see, a lot of the gems that you have dropped on me, I've held on to.
Hmm.
I love you. I love you all.
We love you
And
too, sis.
yeah, we need
Salute
you
to
all.
everybody.
Yes.
Salute to everybody for joining us today and all your comments. Thank you, Shelly, for calling in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Love Sean,
Yeah.
and what's her name, Lionette?
Mm-hmm.
What's her? Did I say it right?
I think so.
Oh, Lanyetta?
Lanyetta.
Lanyetta. Sorry, yeah, I was looking for a name, Lanyetta. Thank you also for your comments and everything, and I really appreciate it. We are because you are, for sure.
There you go. Thank you to all of our new followers. We appreciate you. We are currently on YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube, Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio.
Yes,
So yeah,
I say.
very proud of that. Very proud
Before
of
you
that.
dip out, I just want to say this. I know. The first true lesson of submission is to our children.
Mm.
Come on. Yes.
I just want to, please understand that.
Yes.
Well done.
That's very, very important.
Wow.
That doesn't mean that you're being controlled. That means you're in submission to their will and pleasure, and nurturing and discipline.
Mm.
That's
Yes.
important. That's important. I ain't got nothing else. I'll
I
be quiet.
say.
I'll be quiet.
I say.
It's okay. It's okay. We will see you all back here next week for this is a continuation of the violation of Black girls. We didn't go into the
You
solution
mean
based
Black boys?
no.
You said
No.
continuation of the violation of Black girls or Black
We
boys?
did.
Oh, you
we
talking
did
about from
vi-
then?
Yeah,
I see.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
From before.
And
I
then
see.
after that, we're going to talk about the Black family. And then next month we have. I'm just going to wait. Next month we're going to be talking about. I hope we get a lot of engagement with what does it mean to be a man.
Hmm.
And I'm not leaving women behind. What does it mean to be a woman? We're definitely going to be talking about that next month. And then, after that, the May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're definitely going to be diving in deep into Mental Health Awareness Month. And then June, I'm going to wait before I even put that topic out there. But yeah. So thank you all for signing on. Thank you all for watching. Do not be afraid to invite others to the group. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for calling in. Shelly, thank you for the comments that you've made. Thank you to all of our new followers. We greatly appreciate it. We will see you all back here next week. John.
Gotcha. Salute.
Salute.